Do more past papers, said every teacher ever. But what does that actually look like, and what can we do to best maximize our progress? My name's Reece, and I completely self-studied for my GCSEs as a home educated student, and I'm happy enough to have achieved all 9s in my subjects. So if your teacher is being incredibly unhelpful right now in this stressful period, don't worry, because you have the ability in yourself to work hard and improve your grades. There will be timestamps in the description so you can navigate to the section that will be most helpful to you. But anyway, time is ticking, exams are fast approaching, so let's just dive straight in. I'm just going to shift a bit so that words can pop up on this side. The basics. What are past papers and where can we find them? There are actually 4 elements to the technique of past papering. You have question paper, mark scheme, examiner report, and paper walkthroughs. Don't worry if these names seem a bit confusing right now, because we're going to go over them later on. A lot of the times the official exam board website doesn't actually have all the options for the past papers available. So I would say the best place to find question papers and mark schemes are the physics and math tutor website. For examiner reports, again, unfortunately they're not on the physics math tutor website, so you have to do an extra step, but it's not too hard. You just simply type their paper reference and the words examiner report into your search bar, and it should hopefully be the first link that comes up. Finally, YouTube is amazing for paper walkthroughs. My favorites are Mr. Bison and Mr. Asbury, but there are obviously classics in the field like Exam Solutions and Math Genie. Because there are so many options, the most important thing is to find the one that works for you. A trick is, if you've been rewinding and re-listening to the same section of a YouTube explanation over and over again and you still don't get it, that's probably a sign that you should click off and find somebody that suits your learning style a bit more. The ones that I mentioned are a bit more catered towards A-level math. For GCSEs, there's actually so many YouTubers that I can't even begin to name them. So just search yourself and find the one that works. So you've got all your question papers, mark schemes, examiner reports, but what are you actually going to do with them? Well, step 1 is actually completing the paper, obviously. The first scenario is that you're completely confident in your ability and you're already able to complete the paper in timed conditions and without any outside resources. That's great, just go and do that. But the second scenario is maybe you're not so confident yet. In that case, you can use the paper walkthrough as your guidance. So if you're confused about something, you watch that snippet of the video, but then as soon as you understand, pause the video and keep going on your own. During this time, it would be helpful to swap between a black pen and a differently colored pen, so that later on you can go back and see which bits you understood and were able to do on your own and which bits you weren't able to. Again, with the same thing, let's say you're doing the past paper on your own and you forget a formula. It's okay to look at your revision sheets and use that formula that you maybe haven't memorized yet, but use a different colored pen to write that formula down so that later on when you're going back again, you can see which you need to memorize. You don't have to stop after the time limit, but just be aware that you have. Step 2 is to use the mark scheme to mark yourself. What else are you going to use a mark scheme for? Crucial step here, make sure do not just skip to the answer. It's really important to familiarize yourself with those weird acronyms at the top of the mark scheme, because they tell you a lot about what the examiners are looking for. For example, if you do no working at all and then just have an answer, you might not actually get all the marks. Step 3 is to watch the paper walkthrough. Now you might be tempted to just skip to the questions that you didn't know how to answer, but in that case you would be missing out on the perhaps the alternate methods to questions that you already know how to do, and that might be more time efficient or a lot easier and a lot harder to make mistakes on. Step 4 is to read the examiner report. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of like this PDF file where examiners are talking to examiners about how bad or how well their students are doing, and sometimes they've got these really funnily worded phrases about how poorly we're doing. Anyway, examiner report is helpful because, again, it might provide alternate solutions to questions and also the common mistakes that people had in the exam, or it might provide things about the question that you might not know, like, okay, this has this word of the phrasing show, so therefore you have to show every single step of your work. During my GCSEs, I went a bit overboard and I think every single past paper that was available for my GCSE Maths, which totaled around 46 papers. So I do have a general grasp on what examiners are saying overall. Some things that come up again and again in examiner reports is making sure that you've got the correct units and the correct significant figures or decimal points. Sometimes you're so happy that you've actually gotten to the right answer and want to move on immediately, but if you haven't actually rounded it to the correct accuracy, they can deduct marks for that, and it just sucks if they do, so be sure you check back. Another thing is that they always I don't know what this is about it, but they like tricking you with the units. For example, they might say something like the bee population N, but the bee population is actually in thousands. So after you've found your answer, you need to multiply it by 1,000 to get to the correct number. So if you see any funny units, just circle them so you don't forget. Now hold up. This is actually the most crucial part of the past papering method, the table of mistakes, or mitsakes. Once you've actually gone through your paper once for your mark scheme, examiner report, and paper walkthrough, this is now the second time that you go through your question paper. This is where you categorize all the marks that you lost and the reasons why. I tend to lose marks in two categories. The first being silly mistakes, like typing the numbers wrong into my calculator or forgetting trailing zeros. For you, it might be different though. The second category is knowledge mistakes. For example, not remembering or forgetting how to find the inverse function of something. These knowledge mistakes are your gold mine for revision. Review these in whatever works best for you. It could be rereading the textbook, looking it up on websites, or watching YouTube tutorials on that topic. But don't just stop there. Keep doing exam questions on that topic again and again and again until you feel bored. And that's when you know that it's gotten into your head. Once your entire checklist is complete, you're done. Congratulations. Now you just repeat the cycle. This video was super focused on math, but it's also applicable to other STEM subjects like physics or biology. For humanities subjects though, like English language, it's another different story. If you're interested in seeing something like that, let me know and I might make a video on it. Well, I need to head back to revising for my A-levels now, but if you have any questions or thoughts about the video, feel free to leave them below and I'll chat to you there. Best of luck to your exams, and don't forget to take breaks.